Okay, we have finally made it to the very, very last topic that we're going to talk about in ServSafe. So far we looked at the flow of food. How is it possible that we can reduce the risk of contamination, whether it be biological, physical, or chemical? How can we reduce the risk of any of those contaminations throughout the entire flow of food? So when we're purchasing and receiving, when we are storing, when we're prepping, we're cooking, we're cooling, we're reheating, all of those rules are in place so that we avoid any risk of contamination. So of course we know that one of the themes there is that we keep cleaned and sanitized equipment. So we're going to look over cleaning and sanitizing. There are parts of this I'm going to be able to speed up a little bit more because you actually have been exposed to a little bit more of the cleaning process if you've been following along with the daily activities more than a traditional semester would. So you guys have actually lucked out in some kind of capacity. So first of all, what is the difference between cleaning and sanitizing? No need to write this down if you don't want to. Basically, cleaning is a visual thing. Sanitizing is an actual chemical thing. I can look at a surface and say, oh, that surface looks clean. Like the first compartment sink. It looks visually clean, but we know it's not actually been chemically cleaned yet. Sanitizing, however, is taking that cleanliness to a second step and reducing the risk of microorganisms by 99.9%. Okay, so the process of reducing the number of microorganisms on that surface to safe levels. All right, so anything in red, don't feel like you need to write down. It is just there for your safekeeping measures. So when and where do you clean? This is important information here. All surfaces must be cleaned and rinsed, okay? All surfaces must be cleaned and rinsed. Things like walls, storage shelves, garbage containers. Okay, all of those are critical pieces that need to be routinely cleaned. But anything that touches food, this is a big piece. If it touches food, it must be cleaned and sanitized. So last week we did our Fast Food Friday activity on chicken, and many of you wrote down your answer for what did I do after working with raw chicken on a table, and you said you clean the table. And I may have docked points. I said, no, we clean and sanitize because it touched a food product, okay? So when are we washing, rinsing, and sanitizing? After each use. In addition to just working with raw products, anytime I begin a new task, I want to wash, rinse, and sanitize. Anytime a task has been interrupted, if I started something, walked away for an hour, came back, I want to wash, rinse, and sanitize again. If you've been at the table consistently for 4 hours, you do not have to clean and sanitize until that 4-hour mark. But you cannot walk away and go to the bathroom. You cannot stop the task that you're doing. You cannot change tasks. You are doing the exact same thing for 4 hours. Likely that's not going to be happening, okay? So the 4-step process, just like the 4-compartment sink, except that now it applies to equipment and tables and this, that, and the other. So your 4-step process is, first, I want to clean the surface. I want visual cues with my eyes that it is visibly clean. After that, I want to rinse the surface with that soapy water. I want to sanitize the surface, and then I want to allow it to air dry, okay? We will always want to allow it to air dry. So visually clean, wash, rinse, sanitize, and allow the surface to air dry. Same process that we do with our dishes. There are several factors that affect cleanliness. I'm going to go over just a couple of these. The type of the soil. For example, maybe you've baked a casserole in a dish and you serve up that casserole and then you're left with the casserole dish. That is going to be it gets caked on around the edges. That type of soil is a little bit more difficult to remove versus say that you've just got done steaming some broccoli. Not a whole lot of residue is left from steaming that broccoli versus the casserole dish. So the type of soil is going to affect how we go about cleaning the dish. The condition of the soil, by that I mean, have you left that dish for 2 days not soaking in water? If you've left a dish out on your countertop for 2 days, it's probably dried and caked on. Of course, that's gonna be really, really hard to clean, so clean immediately. Water hardness, water temperature, we'll look at a little bit more in Culinary 1. By water temperature, if your water is not hot, it's probably not gonna clean your dishes, point blank. The surface being cleaned, is the surface smooth, or does it have a whole lot of ridges in it? If it's got a lot of ridges in it, it's gonna be more difficult to clean. Agitation or pressure, we'll look about that in a little bit more in Culinary 1, and then the length of treatment, also Culinary 1. All right, so there are different types of cleaners, but cleaners just in general. Cleaners are chemicals that remove food, soil, rust, stain, minerals, and other deposits. We only want to use those chemicals as directed, and they're typically divided into 4 main categories. You've got detergents, degreasers, delimers, and abrasive cleaners. We're going to go into a little bit more detail on each one. So your detergents, they contain what we call surfactants, and they're just there to kind of help to remove the debris, help to remove the food. They've got a chemical that's acting on all of that food. It's usually general purpose, it's mildly alkaline. You can use it for a variety of things, floors, walls, dishes, all of those equipment and utensils. Because of its properties, it's just a good general purpose cleaner, okay? However, dishwashing detergents are a little bit more highly alkaline. Your degreasers, basically it does what it says. A degreaser is going to remove grease. So things like our deep fryers, things like our backsplashes that get extremely greasy, we want to use a degreaser to cut through that grease. Okay. Delimers, again, it does the exact same thing. It delimes. We see a lot of lime, scale, and rust occurring in places that are extremely high in water. Just have a lot of moisture in general. You're going to see them on refrigerators, you're going to see them on ice makers, you're going to see them on our holding equipment, our steam tables, dishwashers are going to be your common areas. At home, you may see this lime, scale, or rust in your bathrooms, maybe on your shower doors, where there's a lot of water. You see like a little bit of whitish, maybe sometimes greenish residue that occurs over time. That's lime, scale, or rust. And so we use delimers for those. Abrasive cleaners contain a scouring agent that helps scrub hard to remove surfaces. Okay, let's talk about this though. Scouring agents are wonderful to help remove debris. However, they are really, really important when you're working with them. Do not use them on surfaces you don't want scratched. I'll give you an example. Okay, so a couple of semesters ago, we were hosting honors night. We'd made this wonderful punch. It had pineapple juice in it. And for whatever reason, that pineapple juice had all these little bits of as normal pineapple juice, orange juice, as they would. It kind of, all of that got on the outside of our like caked on the inside of our dispenser, our juice dispenser. And so the students cleaned this, and I wasn't really happy with how it had cleaned up. So I came in and I decided I'm going to use something that gives me a little bit more of a scouring or a little bit more abrasive so that I can get all of that pineapple juice off so that it looks clean. So I got one of these, medium duty green scouring pad, okay? So I got this scouring pad, and it's abrasive, it's rough. And I decided that I was gonna take this on the inside and I was gonna clean the inside. Then what I realized after I'd done it, I made my container all foggy. I know this may be a little bit hard for you to see. I scratched all the interior of this. So now it looks cloudy. And now it looks even more dirty than it kind of did to start out with, because it just looks, it's ruined the appearance. So scouring agents, And abrasive cleaners are good, but they have to be on surfaces that you don't mind being scratched. If it's going to get scratched up and kind of ruin the appearance, you may not want to use an abrasive cleaner. All right, I'm going to skip that. Guys, the 4-compartment sink for manual dishwashing. You have, you've been exposed to this a lot more than a typical semester would. So I'm going to zoom through this. Sink number 1, you're rinsing. You're getting it visually clean. Sink number 2, you're washing with detergent. Look here, you're looking for water that is about 110 degrees. So the water does need to be hot to cut through any of the grease and build up on your product. Sink number 3 is rinsing. All we have in there is water in the third sink, and sink number 4 is sanitizing. After we have sanitized, everything gets air dried, okay? This is a big critical piece. Everything is air dried, not towel dried. I'm going to skip through chemical sanitizers and all of that because we will look at that a little bit more in Culinary 1. Now, cleaning the premises, just like we had to clean dishes, we need to clean other things as well. I pride myself on a clean kitchen. We are cleaner than most restaurants are because we have to be, okay? I'm a teaching kitchen. We have to be clean. So any non-contact food surfaces, again, we just have to visually clean them. We do not have to sanitize them. But floors, ceilings, equipment exteriors, restrooms, walls, all of those are super important to be cleaned, and we do so on a 1 to 2 time basis per semester. When we come in, when we first enter the semester, we'll clean, and before we leave for the semester, we will also clean, just to make sure that it is routine clean. Material safety data sheets, you have already seen information about this as well. Remember that notebook is located in the laundry room. And that is if you were to happen to come into contact with cleaning chemicals, whether you got it in your eyes, whether you accidentally drank it, whether it got on your skin, it wasn't supposed to, any number of reasons, material safety data sheets contain all the information that we need to know. What is the chemical made of? Where was it manufactured? How do you store it properly? Is it combustible? If you happen to come into contact with it, how do we take care of you? All of that information is going to be included on your MSDS sheets. Okay? All right, that takes us through the information. I'll see you on the live session soon. Bye.